I pulled up the tenets on my computer and I decided I'm going to go through each one at each page, however many there are in this, and see like what I would do in each tenet. If that works out, we will find out. Interpreting at the Mental Healthy Clinic. Segment 1. You are a freelance interpreter who has just accepted an ongoing assignment interpreting for a newly established outpatient mental health clinic. The type of situations includes one-to-one counseling sessions, small group sessions of no more than a dozen participants, and occasional large group sessions with an invited speaker. All these sessions will be conducted by a therapist who cannot sign. You have been told that typically you will have a colleague working with you for the small and large group sessions, but for the one-to-one sessions, you will usually work alone. You arrive early for the first session, a one-to-one session. The therapist happens to meet you in the hallway and you begin talking. The therapist tells you that the deaf patient has called and left a message that he will be about 30 minutes late. The therapist asks how you became interested in sign language and deaf people, and so you tell your story. Then the therapist asks you about the residential experiences of deaf people and about an article that he read which claimed that there is a high level of sexual abuse of students in residential schools for deaf students. Okay. I was going to say something, but I forgot. Oh, so like I would think about if I'm ready to handle these people's like mental situations. I've had experience with mental health clinics, and they're very scary. You don't know what to expect from the people. You don't know what level of mentality they're at. Like, what if other people are there and they're not stable? It puts you in a scary situation. You have to think about the risks. I wouldn't tell the therapist anything about the patient, like anything that would like cross lines. I would maybe tell him to ask another interpreter that isn't part of this one-to-one session, like outside of this, if he really wants to know about the article, to go read more about it, to go ask somebody else, find different resources. I don't think I'd feel comfortable talking to him about sexual abuse, especially of students, and that's not my profession either. My profession is just interpreting. Professional skills, once again, I'd think about if I can mentally handle a mental health clinic, and if I have the background knowledge, which I think I kind of would. Conduct themselves in a manner appropriate to the specific interpreting situation. I don't really think talking about sexual abuse would be appropriate in that situation. I would respect the deaf consumer, other colleagues, interns, and students. Yeah, that's what I would do. Segment 2. After you respond, the therapist tells you that the reason he asked is that the deaf patient in the session has a history of child sexual abuse, and that this is the first in a series of court-ordered therapy sessions. The deaf person finally arrives, and it is someone you recognize from the interpreting you have done in the community. The therapist directs the deaf person to his office, and the session begins. At the end of the hour, you accompany the deaf person to the receptionist desk to schedule the next appointment. In the middle of trying to find a workable time, the therapist approaches you and in front of the deaf person asks if he can speak to you in private for a few minutes. Wow, okay. I would probably ask the therapist if he thinks the article he read is relevant to my deaf consumer. Even then, I'd maybe just tell him, like, just, go based off of what you have, and I'll interpret, I'm only here to interpret. I'm not here to put in my own opinions. He obviously has more experience with sexual abuse than I do, so I don't know if I'd be any help to give him any opinions or statistics. The deaf person is someone who I recognize from the interpreting I've done in the community. How well do I know this person? I don't know. I don't know if I'd have to take myself out of the situation if it causes conflicts. And then the therapist asks if he can speak to me for a few minutes. I would ask my deaf consumer, do you mind if I go talk to him? Maybe ask if the deaf consumer can come with me. I don't know if my job as interpreting would be over right then and there, or if I'd still have to worry about my deaf consumer. I'd still have to be confidential. I still would be, even after all of this. I don't know what it is. 2 just goes back to the first page. I would still conduct myself in an appropriate manner. I would respect my consumer, what he wants me to do. If he told me look, I don't want you guys talking, would I not go? Would I respect that? Probably. Yeah. Segment 3. A few weeks later, the deaf person is scheduled to join an ongoing group therapy session, and you have been asked to interpret. You've been told that the group consists of the therapist plus approximately 12 men who are undergoing court-ordered treatments for sexual abuse of children. I'm just trying to process that in my head. So they sexually abused other children, or they were sexually abused as children? Were undergoing court-ordered treatments for sexual abuse of children. I think they were sexually abusing children. Okay. The group has been in session for a few months, and it is common for new people to join the group as others leave it. You have arranged for a colleague to interpret with you, since you suspect this will be more demanding than the one-to-one counseling sessions. About 30 minutes before the session is to begin, you receive a page from your colleague saying that she has been involved in a car accident. She has suffered only minor injuries but has been taken to the hospital for x-rays as a precautionary measure. Thus, she would be unable to interpret the group counseling session. She has placed a call to the referral agency, but they have not been able to locate a replacement. You, too, contact the agency and confirm that they have no one available on such short notice. I don't know what I would do.